Hey, welcome philosophy class. We're so glad you're here for another lovely edition of philosophy. But we're turning the corner. We're doing something new. We're doing something exciting. We're reading question 1, article 1 from St. Thomas's Summa. Yeah, this doesn't flatter me at all, does it? I mean, normally I'm a really skinny guy, but this shirt just is not doing it. That's better. Okay, so, and it's after 5, guys. I mean, I'm making this Thursday. It's 10 after 5. Just found out my wife is on the way to the hospital with with my littlest girl, who's 3. I don't know, something about her nail getting pulled off. But I'm here for you. So stick with me until the end of the video. And please say a prayer that everything's okay. I think she mostly probably panicked. Thankfully, her brother is there, so he's with her, and actually sent me a message while I was talking to you. Hopefully that'll explain the thing. So I'm going to pause the video, listen to that message, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I don't know. Don't know anything new. All right. So I asked you to read from this text, which I attached to a Dropbox of an assignment that says this is not a graded assignment. I just created an assignment that was worth no points so that you could get this document and print it out so you could read it, okay? And what this is question 1 of the Summa with all of its 10 articles. It's not a huge amount of stuff, and I asked you to read the first article last night, or whatever. So hopefully you've done that, and we're going to read through it quickly, and I'm going to hopefully help you to understand certain things. Now, in order to understand how all this is going, I mean, you need to actually understand some terms as well. So I'm going to write some terms on the board, and let's have a look. Let me know if I committed any heresy. Philosophical science. Philosophical science. All right. So the question is whether besides philosophy any further doctrine is required. Okay. And again, it's a scholastic article, so there's objections first. Objection 1. It seems that besides philosophical science, we have no need of any further knowledge. For man should not seek to know that which is above reason. Seek not the things that are too high for thee. But whatever is not above reason is fully treated of in philosophical science. Therefore, any other knowledge besides philosophical knowledge is superfluous. What's superfluous? Superfluous. Okay? So, philosophical science first. A philosophical science is any science. It doesn't mean it has to be like, philosophy is about reading old ancient dudes and thinking. No, in ancient times, and even in fairly modern times, all the sciences were called philosophy. I mean, Newton was considered a philosopher. Okay, he studied physics. Right? In this, one of the disciplines of philosophy is physics. Now, physics meant natural science. You do know that Aristotle was one of the great sort of founders of the science of biology. He had a menagerie. His students, when they traveled, would collect animals for him and bring them to him. He actually kept menagerie, which is a miniature zoo, your own private miniature zoo. So the philosophical sciences included natural science, included geometry, mathematics, that sort of thing. Superfluous means that it's beyond what is required. So he's saying that therefore any other knowledge besides philosophical science knowledge is unneeded. Okay? This is a very modern way of thinking. We have science, we don't need theology or anything else. Objection 2, further. Knowledge can be concerned only with being. For nothing can be known save what is true. And all that exists, is true. But everything that is treated of in philosophical science. Even God himself. So that there is a part of philosophy called theology, or the divine science, as Aristotle has proved. Therefore, besides philosophical science, there is no need of any further knowledge. And there's the on the contrary, which I will allow you to read on your own. We then get to the I answer that. This is how Aquinas answers the question. So let's sum up what objection 1 is. Objection 1 is that faith is above reason, so no need for philosophical sciences. Okay? So there's no need to study with philosophy. You don't need to study faith things with philosophy because it's beyond reason. Right? And now objection number 2, the study of being is metaphysics, which includes God. So objection 2 is even theology is included in philosophy. Therefore, you don't need a separate science of it. It's included. Right? I mean, Aristotle talked about that there must be a God. Socrates does, etc. I answer that. It was necessary for man's salvation that there should be a knowledge. It was necessary for man's salvation that there should be a knowledge revealed by God besides philosophical science built up by human reason. Firstly, indeed, because man is directed to God as to an end that surpasses the grasp of his reason. Right? That he's directed to an end which is a purpose or goal. Right? He is directed to it. Man is directed to God as to an end, as to a goal that surpasses the grasp of his reason. Quote, the eye hath not seen, O God, besides thee, what things thou hast prepared for them that wait for thee, unquote. But the end must first be known by men who are to direct their thoughts and actions to the end. Hence, it is necessary for the salvation of man that certain truths which exceed human reason should be made known to him by divine revelation, right? Through revealing of God's self, primarily through his Son, which is reported to us by the church and by Scripture. Even so, let's read that again. Hence, it was necessary for the salvation of man that certain truths which exceed human reason should be made known to him by divine revelation, even as regards those truths about God which human reason could have discovered. Okay, so there are certain things, truths about God, that human reason can discover. We can know certain truths about God, but there are things beyond that. And here's what's very important. It was necessary that man should be taught by divine revelation, because the truth about God, such as reason could discover, would be known only by a few. Those who were philosophers, those who were brought up in the know, those who were taught these things. And of course, in these times, very few people were educated. And even today, very few people read stuff like this and are truly educated. So it was necessary that man should be taught by divine revelation, because the truth about God, such as philosophy could discover, would be known only by a few. And that after a long time, and with admixture of many errors. And it would also be full of errors if it was just man's reason alone. Whereas man's whole salvation, which is in God, depends upon the knowledge of this truth. Therefore, in order that the salvation of men might be brought about more fitly and more surely, it was necessary that they should be taught divine truths by divine revelation. It was therefore necessary that besides philosophical science built up by reason, there should be a sacred science learned through revelation. Okay, so I answered that can be compressed. So God can be known by human reason. True. Ding! Check. But it is necessary that man should be taught by revelation as well, because otherwise only a few people would know these truths, these philosophical truths about God, and there would be many errors in that. Okay? So, philosophical science, built by reason. Sacred science, learned by revelation. Okay? Philosophical science, built up by reason. Sacred science, built up by revelation. That's worth, so we got this. And a different kind of science called the sacred science. Sacred theology as opposed to philosophical theology. All right, we're going to skip the reply to objection 1. You can read that. I want to talk about objection 2 because I just think that's more interesting to talk about. Because Aquinas knew in the 13th century that breaking news, the world is round. Let's read his reply. Remember, the second objection was theology is included in philosophy, and therefore it's superfluous. You don't need it. Reply to objection 2. Sciences are differentiated according to the various means through which the knowledge is obtained. In other words, sciences, we distinguish the different kinds of sciences by the way in which they gather information. Okay? Biology talks about man by looking at man's body, right? And then even physics or I don't know, chemistry will talk about man, but looking at man from a totally different way. He uses astronomy. For the astronomer and the physicist, both may prove the same conclusion, that the earth, for instance, is round. The astronomer, by means of mathematics, that is, mathematics are abstracting from matter, taking out of matter. But the physicist comes to the same conclusion by means of the matter itself. Hence, there is no reason why those things which may be learned from philosophical science, so far as they are known by natural reason, may not also be taught to us by another science, so far as they may fall within revelation. Hence, theology included in sacred science differs in kind from that theology which is part of philosophy. So there is, so the astronomer achieves the same conclusion as the physicist, but by 2 different methods. So in the same way, philosophy and the sacred sciences could come to similar conclusions, but by very different methods. One by reason, the other revelation. Okay? Good. Now, what is your assignment for the day? I would like you to read Article 2 and Article 3 tonight for homework. Tonight is Friday. Okay? Read those tonight and or over the weekend. Actually, since it's the weekend, go ahead and read 2, 3, 4, and 5. And be prepared to answer questions. For example, if I say to you on Monday, because we're going to have class on Monday, tell me, is sacred doctrine a science? Is there such a thing as sacred science? Can you see that? Sacred science. I need you to be able to give me reasons from the text, right? Okay, so that's our first article of St. Thomas Aquinas. We have discovered why it is that we have both philosophy and theology. So now you know why we have philosophy, theology.